Sec 3 NA Mathematics Revision 1, Expansion and Factorization. Expansion and factorization. Expand and simplify the following. Now, this is something square. Please remember, this is actually a repeated factor. So we'll have 4m minus 5n times 4m minus 5n itself. And we'll do expansion for this rainbow method to give us a 16m square minus 20m minus 20m plus 25n squared, and that gives us 16m squared minus 40m plus 25n squared. Okay, what about the next question for this type? This type over here, we have a fraction. Doesn't matter, it's still the same method. I'm still going to write it as 2 minus 5 over 6x times 2 minus 5 over 6x. Just probably we need a little bit more understanding of the terms itself. So I shall do normal expansion. 2 times 2 gives me 4. Then 2 times negative 5 over 6, so that will be net minus. I'll take 2 times negative 5 over 6. Give me improper fraction, please. 5 over 3 according to my calculator. And in this case, they wrote the x as the denominator, so x is in the denominator. Then now negative 5 over 6 times 2 again. If you press the calculator, negative 5 over 6 times 2, that will give you negative 5 over 3. And as usual, x is in the denominator again, so I'm going to leave it like that. And last but not least, negative times negative, positive, 5 over 6 times 5 over 6. That will give me 25 over 36. Then x times x will give me x squared in the denominator. So what are the terms that we can add up? Only these two terms over here are similar. So this will give me minus 5 over 3 minus another 5 over 3. That gives me, in improper fraction please, for algebra, don't write mixed number, negative 10 over 3, and x is now in the denominator, plus 25 over 36 x squared. So this will be the final answer. Have you gotten the concept? Next question, part C. Now, a lot of students will think that this 4 is to be multiplied to both the brackets, but actually this is not true. Okay, this is actually written as 4 times 3x plus 5 times another x minus 2. Now, let's say if I were to give you 4 times 3 times 7, do I take 4 times 3 and then times 7 2 times? That's not true, right? So we do not do this. We take 4 times 3 first, then after that, multiply it to 7. So what I can do now is I'm going to multiply 4 to 3x plus 5 first. So I'll get 12x plus 20. Now then I have this bracket, I'll multiply it to x minus 2. Then I will have 12x squared minus 24x plus 20x minus 40. And that will give me 12x squared minus 4x minus 40. Now, please do not expand and simplify and tell me that, oh, there is a common factor of 4, so I factorize out 4 or divide by 4. No, that is not true. We leave this as the answer. If you understood the concept, we are going to move on to the next question. Now, question here says n is a positive integer. Show that for all n, this whole thing is a multiple of 2. But what can I do with this? I haven't know what to do. So I can actually do an expansion, or if you actually notice, this is actually given by something square minus something square. So this is actually of the pattern a square minus b square. What do we know about a square minus b square? Well, a square minus b square gives us a plus b, a minus b. So it'll be a plus b, a minus b. But now I will write 5n plus 1, 5n minus 1, but with brackets. Why is this important? If I were to do this 5n plus 1 over here, 5n minus 1, this is subtracting whole of 5n minus 1. That's a subtraction sign. So I need to be careful with my writing. So I put a bracket. And now I will expand and simplify these. 5n plus 5n to give you 10n. 1 minus 1, no more. And this one over here, I need to expand this. This is actually 5n plus 1 minus 5n. The negative times the negative will now become plus 1. And I simplify this. This is 10n. And here is 5n minus 5n, no more 5n. 1 plus 1 gives you 2. Simplify to become 20n. Show that for all n, this is a multiple of 2. If it's a multiple of 2, you look at number 2, 20, right? So this is actually a multiple of 2. How do I know that? Because since 2 is a factor of 20n, it is a multiple of 2. Have you gotten the concept? Next question, expand and simplify the following. Now, this question can be a little bit tricky because of the negative sign here, and there's a square somewhere down here. So we shall do this step by step. Firstly, let us expand and simplify this one over here first. So I will have 6x squared plus 2x minus 15x minus 5. Okay, and then minus 4. I'm going to keep this. This one, I'm going to change it to x minus 3 whole thing square means it's x minus 3 times x minus 3. Right? Then I will expand the one inside the bracket first. So in the meantime, I shall simplify this one. 2x minus 15x, negative 13x. Minus 5, please do not tell me minus 5 minus 4. No, because this minus 4 need to be multiplied to the bracket. So we shall keep it here first. So this is just until minus 5. Okay, then we subtract 4 times of, okay, inside this bracket here, we have x times x, x squared, x times negative 3, negative 3x, negative 3x, plus 9. Now we're going to multiply in the 4. Okay, and then we'll have 6x squared minus 13x minus 5. Subtract 4x squared. Minus times minus plus 3 times 4, 12x plus 12x minus 36. Then we simplify this. 6x squared minus 4x squared, 2x squared. Negative 13x with plus 12 to give me 11x. Then minus 5 minus 36, negative 41. So this is the final answer. Have you gotten the answer? Factorization. Now factorize the following completely. The first one we have, the first type is actually 4 terms. If you have 4 terms, we actually do by grouping. Now there's a couple of ways for you to write your working. So the first one I actually do is I'm going to group 4ax together with, now which one would you like to group? Maybe I'll group it together with negative 16ay. I'm going to change a little bit of the position. Okay, and then from this group, I will have 4a as the common factor. I will leave with x minus 4y. That means my next group, I will have 12by minus 3bx. If it's in this group, I will factorize out the common factor 3b. So this one will give me 4y minus x. But we notice that this is positive x, but this is negative x. So what can we do to change the sign? What we can do is we'll take out negative 3b, and this will now become negative 4 plus x, negative 4y plus x. So all the sign change, and now this and this are the same. This and these are also the same. So my final answer, I will be able to have 2 brackets. The first bracket is the one that's being repeated over here. X minus 4y is the common factor, so we write it only one time. Then the other one will be the factor 4a minus 3b over here, and that will be 4a minus 3b in the second bracket. Now, some of you do not use this method. Only some of them who are in my class since Sec 1 will use this method. Now, what about the other methods that usually teacher writes? They will write this such as 4ax minus 16ay, 12by minus 3bx. Then we will have 4a bracket x minus 4y. Please try to refrain from adding brackets that looks like this. Okay, there are some students who actually write bracket like this. This is not correct. Please don't do that. Okay, now then I continue over here. This one will be plus, plus, I factorize out 3b, and then this is 4y minus x. So now I'm going to change the sign for a x minus 4y. I'm going to change it to minus 3b. And then the sign changes, it will be minus 4y plus x. But these two are exactly the same. Then my last step is to write down the answer. This is being repeated, so we'll write it only one time, x minus 4y. And then if we cover these two, we'll be left with 4a minus 3b. Have you gotten the answer? Let's try one more question. Now in this question over here, we have PQ and plus 2Q. Maybe I'll just try PQ with 2QX. Okay, the common factor here is Q, then I'll have P plus 2X. The next pair will be negative 4PX minus 8X squared. So the common factor over here will be 4x. But notice that both of them got a negative sign. I can factorize out a negative sign, and this will become plus and plus, positive and positive. So here I'm taking out this, I'm left with p plus 8 divided by 4 is 2. X squared divided by x will give me x. So now these two are exactly the same. The answer will be p plus 2x, which is the one that's repeated, the common factor. We write it only one time. Then the second bracket will be q minus 4x. Okay, alternatively, some of you might like to write the working in this way, pq plus 2qx. Oh, this one already grouped together. Please do not tell me you write it this way. Don't add brackets like this because the negative sign here will change, right? So this is not correct. Okay, then if that's the case, we should do it the proper way. Proper way is to write them down. The common factor here is q. I will have p plus 2x. And now I have negative, negative. I should factorize out a negative number for x. And straight away, this will change to a positive p, positive 2x. And since p minus 2x is common, we write it only one time. We cover up the other two, and I'm left with q minus 4x. Have you gotten the answer? Now let's do the last question. Last two questions over here on this page. Now I have, this is a quadratic equation. This is usually what we do with our different cross method. This is 6y squared. I need to consider a few options. What can I do to get 7? So probably I'll try 3y times 2y is 6y. Then 5 minus 5 times 1 to give you 5. So that I can have 2 times 5 is 10y. 3 times 1 is 3y. I want a negative 7y. So negative sign goes to the bigger number. And this is plus, minus, plus, minus. Check, this sign is the same. So therefore, we have our answers. 2 brackets, 3y minus 5, 2y plus 1. Last question on this page, on this part of the page. I have, this one looks something like with two terms, so usually it's a common difference. Something square minus something square. But in the first place, 24 is not something square, neither is 6. So probably we can always do the first step, that is to check for common factors. Now check for common factors. 6 and 24 can be divided by 6. So I factorize out 6. But that's not the only one. I still have 6. Then what about the letters? A cubed and a. So I can factorize out a. Y and y cubed. So I can factorize out y. So I'm left with 24 divided by 6. 24 divided by 6 will give you 4. A cubed divided by a will give you a squared. Y divided by y, no more. 6 divided by 6 is 1. And a divided by a, then y squared. So 4a squared minus y squared. Now this is my common factor. Do not throw it away. But I notice that this is something square with something square. I will get 2 brackets. One is plus, one is minus. A squared minus b squared is a plus b, a minus b. So what times what gives you 4? 2a times 2a gives you 4a squared. Y times y gives you y squared. So therefore, this is the final answer. Now, these two questions that I'm going to go through next are a little bit harder, so try to follow the pattern as closely as possible. Now, in this question over here, factorize this completely. So I will have 2x squared, then 5x minus 12. What times what can give me 12? I can try 6 times 2. 6 times 2 does not give me 5. What about 3 times 4? Okay, maybe I'll try a 3 and a 4 so that I get an odd number. 2 times 4 is 8x. X times 3 is 3x. I want to get negative 5x, so I'll put the negative with the larger number. So plus 3 minus 4, negative 12. Check the sign. Correct. So this answer here is 2x plus 3, x minus 4. Okay, so this part A, is not much of a problem. Problem comes with part 2. So now question say, hence, what does the word hence means? Hence meaning I need to use the answer from above. Okay, and write your answer to factorize this thing and write your answer as simply as possible. Now, what is the relationship between this question and this question? Let's look at some similarities. I have 2, then now this is x squared, something square, but I have 2y minus 3x whole thing square. This is negative 5, same. Now my x is now x over here, 2y minus 3. Is this x also 2y minus 3 over here? Yes, it is. Then finally, I have 12, negative 12 with negative 12. So everything looks similar except that x is now equals to 2y minus 3. So what do? We are going to let x be 2y minus 3 and we are going to use the answer over here. Okay, when they say factorize, this is already a factorized form. So it'll come in terms of a bracket, something times something. If I follow this form, I'll have 2x plus 3x minus 4. What did we discover x to be? We say that x is what? X is the same as 2y minus 3. So x now become 2y minus 3. 2y minus 3. So now we have already done the factorization, but we need to write it as simply as possible. So let us expand the factors inside. We have 4y minus 6 plus 3. This one is just 2y minus 3 minus 4. Simplifying our answers, we have 4y minus 6 plus 3 will give me negative 3. This is 2y minus 3 minus 4 will give me negative 7. So this will be the final answer. Have you gotten the concept? Now let me move to the last question for the day before we move on to the next lesson. Okay, first part of the question, factorize the following. We can see very clearly this is of the form, the pattern a square minus b square to be a plus b, a minus b. So we have two brackets, 1 plus 1 minus. So it's what times what gives me x squared? X times x. What times what gives me 9? 3 times 3 gives me 9. Question now say, hence, find two factors of the number 1591 other than 1 and... What is this? How am I going to use the factor hence? This one say I need x to be something, but I don't even know what's the x. Am I right? But what do I know? I know this is x squared minus 9. And then now I'm only left with 1591. So what can I do? Well, I can try to take x squared minus 9 to be equals to 1591. If that's the case, can I find out what is x squared? X squared will be 1591 plus 9. And that gives me 1600. This is x squared. Then, if that's the case, what is x? X is square root of this number. Square root of 1600 will give you 40. So I found x to be 40. So if I were to follow this pattern over here, the factors of 1591 will now be, I will have two brackets, something plus 3, something minus 3. And I found x to be the number 40 plus 3, 40 minus 3. 40 plus 3 gives me 43. 14 minus 3 gives me 37. Let's check. 43 times 37, is it equals to 1591? Yes, it is. So find two factors of 1591. Therefore, the two factors are 43 and 37. Have you gotten the concept? Now we have come to the end of today's lesson. We'll continue with the next lesson on fractions and changing subject formula.